we just have great sex, to be honest with you. I think she said some things that, like she's never had someone so talented from an oral standpoint.
Hey, there you go, my friend.
That is the key to every girl's heart.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. And guess who I have in the studio today? I've got the lovely Amy.
Hello.
Amy's been absent for a while. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Started a new job, and then I've been super sick.
I know. We tried to have you on last week, and you couldn't even speak.
I know. It was horrible. I tried. I did everything I possibly could. But no, I'm here now, and I'm happy, very happy to be back. So,
well, I am glad you're back. We've missed you. Our listeners have missed you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I shared an email I got this week with Amy, and she was so excited to be a part of this interview. Mm-hmm. And on the phone today, I have Thomas. And I just want to read you a little bit of what I got from Thomas and why we're excited to have him here, because this was a pretty good little feedback. And guys, go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, message us your stories, and who knows, we'll have you on the show too. So I get this email. It says, "Hi, I stumbled upon your podcast, and I've been listening actively since. I am a sugar daddy, quote unquote. I know you hate that term. And if you're looking for a guest, I'd love to share my story. Some background, I'm a physician, and I've been married for about 20 years. Things started to get stale in the bedroom, so I started seeing escorts. An escort I was seeing regularly told me about seeking, and I was blown away. It was exactly what I was craving, the sexual experience, but with an emotional connection. I pretty much gave up on escort since and went the sugar baby route. I also was recently caught by my wife, and after things cooled down, I started to get active again. I have much more to share if you're interested." Well, we are interested. How are you today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for messaging us. And how'd you find our show? I'm just curious.
I'm always just, as someone that was recently started on the sugar sites, which was about 8 months ago. I've always was kind of interested in what other people are doing out there. And so, I've been on Reddit, I've been online, and then I think I just Googled like sugar daddy, sugar bear, and I came across your podcast. So, I started listening, and I was like, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. I wish I had this when I first started, maybe I wouldn't have got caught, but yeah, that's kind of how I started, and I heard about your site.
That's right. We're teaching all those boys to be bad. How to do it properly, how to be bad properly. No, I think it's perfect. Yeah. It's great. No, it's fun.
Well, I thought I had a good system, because I've actually, I've been married for about 20 years, and things, we have 4 kids, and I would say about maybe the past 10 years or so, things have not been well in the bedroom, and you could say it's a dead bedroom. And, to the point where now there's actually no sex at all. So I started seeing escorts. I'm not the type of person that's kind of a mongerer, like seeing as many as I can. I would have a few here and there, and we would have some connections, and one would eventually retire. Then I would kind of start the process over again.
Where would you find these?
And it's like a forum or board, and so I would go through there and see the different ads. And then I also was on a verification site. So my information was verified. The escorts were also verified as well. So I knew I wasn't, running into, law enforcement or something. So that's kind of how I would find someone, just to make sure like I was vetting them and vice versa.
So it's not Eros. It wasn't Eros. It's kind of like Eros. No.
Eros, right? I will go on Eros occasionally, but I will always cross-reference it for some of the other sites, just to make sure, the ladies are who they say they are.
Yeah, that's scary. And I wish there was a way to do that on Seeking a little better. I'm not sure what your experience has been, but verifying on Seeking is hard. Yes, it is. It's hard. It's hard. Oh, that's irritating. But anyways, let's continue.
So the last escort I was seeing was probably about 8 months ago, and I was probably seeing her maybe a couple times a month, and we had a pretty good connection, but at the end of the day, it was, really a transactional type relationship. I would see her about an hour each time. With my career and family, I honestly just didn't really have time to, spend like long, like weekends, et cetera, with her. And, we were just talking one time about, her background, how she got into escorting and the industry. And then she told me, hey, originally I wasn't seeking arrangements, and someone approached me, and it sounded like it was someone that really was more of like a pimp, and kind of introduced her more toward escorting. And that was something that she wanted to pursue. Yeah. So she connected with an agency, and sounded like this person was targeting girls on Seeking, and he brought her over to her agency, and then eventually, she went independent, and that's when I connected with her and started seeing her. And then, so when she told me about this, I was, well, this sounds intriguing, so let me take a look. So, I went on site, read a little bit about it, and, of course, I was doing my research, trying to see, is this legit? Does this work? And, yeah, I think all in all, I really enjoyed it much better than the, seeing like a companion or escort, because I just felt that, there was not much, I was still getting what I wanted, and I would make it very clear in kind of communication. I was looking for intimacy, but I didn't feel like there was like time constraints. There wasn't, like, hey, I'm looking at the clock, that sort of thing. Not that I have all the time in the world, but it just felt a little bit more natural. So that's kind of how I started, and I didn't look back after that.
So that was about 8 months ago, you said?
Yeah, it was about 8 months ago, and it was quite a bit of a challenge in the beginning, because one, I wanted to stay anonymous, so I was like, how do I actually get girls to look at my profile, and vice versa? Because I have I have a few pictures on there, but my face is blocked, but I was trying to be as descriptive as possible, like, hey, I am married. I'm trying to be anonymous, and I think I had a pretty good detailed profile, but, you're getting a ton of scammers, you're dealing, I would say my experience, like maybe 2 out of 10 were legit, so, yeah.
Now, would
I met
you
some
say
girls,
that was because you had, do you feel that was because you were married on your profile?
I don't know. And I know, like, there was definitely some profiles where I would read and they would say no married men, but then I would filter in a way that, I would try to, like, at least filter out people that would be open to it. And in fact, and then through my research on, different blogs, et cetera, I was, seeing that a lot of girls prefer to have married men, because, the men were not looking for, long-term relationships, and the girls were just looking for something short-term. So it was kind of like, I think I think it kind of made sense for, both parties.
Definitely. So what are some of the vetting questions that you would use to help cycle through these girls?
Sure. Yeah. So first, like the first thing I would do is I would try to get off the site. First I would say, hey, listen, I read your profile, and, I would, we'd just chit chat a little bit through through Seeking's own messaging system. And then, eventually we would just take it to text. I actually never even talked to anyone on the phone prior to a meet and greet. It was all text.
Gotcha.
So I thought that was a little bit, I thought that was interesting. But it seemed like that was the trend.
Did you use, I'm just trying to, I want to like figure out like kind of where it all kind of went bad. But did you use, like a burner phone or? Did you have a burner phone?
I would use, not a burner phone. I know a lot.
But like WhatsApp,
you have a separate phone, but yeah, I would use just like a Google Voice number.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I use.
That's good.
Use that, have it kind of hidden away in my apps on my phone, and it's always logged out too. So
that's good.
That was
that's
one of my
smart.
strategies.
Yes, very good strategy
to minimize. Minimize getting caught, right? So
exactly. Yeah, there's some people.
But yeah, I would connect with the girls, and essentially, I'm trying to see who's legit, who wants to, have, an actual meet and greet. And then once I'm off the site, I mean, I think if you're on Seeking and you start mentioning numbers and that sort of thing, I mean, there is a chance you might get banned. So I would never mention PPM or allowance, et cetera. I would just, once I got on actual text, I would ask, what are you looking for, and that sort of thing. And I never gave a direct number. I would always ask first, what are you looking for? And sometimes some of the girls were just really out there. I was like, this doesn't really make sense. Some girls wanted, hey, I need $1,000 just to have coffee. I'm like, I don't think so.
$1,000 for coffee.
Yeah, I've gotten that too. And you're just like, who is actually giving you $1,000 for a meetup?
Coffee.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I've had 200 or 300
yeah.
for coffee, but
yeah,
that ended up.
But
being,
you didn't even ask for that.
No.
I think they just gave it to you.
Yeah, they just give it to me.
Yeah.
I don't ever ask. I'm just I just want to know who you are.
Right.
But
So how do you discuss these terms?
Yep.
That's hard for me.
Well, for me, what I would do is I would say, hey, what are you looking for in terms of for the arrangement? And I, depends, I think generally speaking, for the most part, for the girls I've actually connected with and, we've actually met up afterwards, we're generally on the same page, There's some that I just felt were really, maybe too high, and I'm looking at only on a PPM type arrangement. It just makes the most sense for me. Mm-hmm. Time wise, I'm really only have maybe 2 to 3 times I can see someone on a month. On the average, it's been about 2. Mm-hmm. Also, at the same time, I'm a physician. I am making about $250,000 a year, but I am one income household. So, and
it goes quickly.
Just trying to make sure it goes quickly, and also just to make sure things don't look suspicious from the bank account. I was able, right?
We have $60,000 missing. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of, how I would discuss it. And, and I'm trying to at least make sure we're somewhat on the same page before we meet in person. And then when in person, I think we would, a few times we just kind of finalize it. I wouldn't, if it seemed unrealistic from the girls' end or vice versa, I wouldn't bother with the meet and greet. I would just say, be very cordial. I'm like, hey, listen, I don't think we're on the same page. Best of luck, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's nice. Some people don't even do that. People here in Arizona, they'll just ghost you. They'll just.
Well, I think that's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst. I'm just communicate people. That's all it takes. Takes one message.
Yeah.
It's easy
I'm
to do.
very old fashioned, and so I always, regardless if we're meeting or not, I'm always trying to, be cordial and, leave things on a positive note.
Right. Yeah. Because you never know. I mean.
All right. So what kind of girls actually make the cut and that you're actually meeting? What are you finding out there?
So, so the girls I'm seeing, this is interesting. So I haven't been on the site too long relatively, but I would say I've had about 5 to 6 meet and greets, and out of those, I continued with about 4 of them. And, things somewhat fizzled with the 4. I lost interest, and the current girl I'm seeing now, and again, I'm not a type of person that's seeing too many folks. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of just only seeing one person right now. She's I would say she's my regular one. She's the only one I'm seeing.
And so she's, how did she make the cut? What's the difference between her and the 4?
Yeah, so it was interesting because she actually, so I kind of have a very similar type. I guess I have a type, right? So, I would, look for someone in probably the mid-20s range, and slim is typically the type of, type of girl that I'm more attracted to. I'm somewhat of a slim figure as well. The current girl I'm seeing now, it was interesting because she initially, she didn't have her face on there, but something about her profile just kind of clicked with me. We exchanged some messages. I don't know, for some reason, it just didn't work out. We were planning at a meet and greet, and I think for her, just getting around, and I'm sure she's getting tons of messages too, right? So I think the meet and greet wasn't really convenient for her. So she ended up, kind of flaking, I would say. One day she was like, oh, there's a snowstorm coming. I don't know if I can make it. And so it just didn't work out. And then, I kind of said, all right, I don't know if this is going to work out, but, best of luck to you and that sort of thing. But something about her still kind of intrigued me. And And I was just thinking about it a little bit more. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to be a little bit more proactive or, make things a little bit easier on her end. So I messaged her a couple of weeks after and said, listen, and what she did was she kind of let me off easy. She's like, hey, I think I found someone else and hope things works out for you. So I think I don't know if she just made that up, but I was thinking maybe she just did.
Yeah.
Right. So I did message her a couple of weeks after the fact and said, hey, listen, I know, things didn't work out, but, just reflecting on our communication, I'm like, maybe I didn't really make it easy for you. And, how about this? How about I come out to you, we have a quick chat and that sort of thing. And it actually worked out perfectly. She's like, yeah, that sounds great. And we met up at a bar, had a couple of drinks, and things just clicked. And we never actually settled on an actual TPM arrangement. And what she was looking for was a little bit higher than what I wanted to offer. But, I was like, man, this girl's kind of worth it. So I was fine with it, And then, and then I was seeing her regularly, about at least 2 to 3 times a month. And, unfortunately, she isn't able to host. And for me, I was always trying to find a location for a date, like a dinner or lunch or something. And I was always trying to find something discreet, where is a place that there's going to be a low probability of someone.
You're in a kind of a tough position versus me being single, and I don't care who sees me. You've got to be a lot more discreet.
Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of thought into it. Where are we going? I would kind of research ahead of time and always looking at where am I sitting? If there is someone walking in, what kind of excuses should I think of and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I would always and then we would always book a hotel afterwards. That would, that's kind of like that is pretty much the formula for our dates. We would have like a dinner or lunch and then end in a hotel. And that's pretty much the standard routine we would have.
So I'm assuming she knows that you're married and that you have to be discreet.
Yeah, his profile says that.
Oh, that's
so
right.
That's part of his vetting process. Is he's very open and honest about that.
I know Amy actually kind of prefers married men many times. She actually prefers that kind of setup.
I do. Yeah. I'm just like he said, like I'm here for one reason and one reason only.
Which is what?
School. Oh. I'm here to try to get through school, and I don't need, I don't want.
You're not trying to find somebody to fall in love with.
No, but if it happens, that would be, everyone wants that, right? But I could not be with someone who is not open. Like the one problem I will say I find a lot of times, the ones that aren't married, right, is they want me for themselves. And I'm just like, because I love women as well. So I am all about threesomes, right? And I cannot tell you how many foursomes I've had in the past, like 4, 5, and 6 people in the past month. It has been just
we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So
I'll be for another episode.
Yeah. So it just, the jealousy, like I'm not allowed to go out and see other people as well. And it's like, well, I have different, like
but you don't find that when the guy's married.
No, when they're married, they're very, they're like, oh, yeah,
so Thomas,
just be open about it.
What happens if this girl falls in love with you?
Oh, well, I don't think.
Good question. Hopefully not.
It happens,
I really haven't thought about that. Yes, correct. Yeah. It's interesting because I remember when we first met, she just broke up with someone and I think it was a long term for her, and I don't think it was working out. But it's interesting because when we see each other, this is a little side note. When I was seeing escorts, all sex was all protected. Everything was clean and this and that. What I noticed with the girls I was seeing on Seeking, and I don't know if this is just a demographic or it's just the girls just being naive, but condoms, protection, rarely was ever used.
Yeah.
If it was available, I wasn't using it. But so I remember when I first hooked up with this girl, I said, well, do you have any protection? She's like, no, I trust you. And, I'm
famous
really
last words. I'm finding it about 50-50. Yeah.
Right. And of course, you're not really thinking with your head at the time. Mm-hmm. And I've got tested since then. And in fact, my wife insisted on that. It's another story, but,
we're going to get into that.
But, yeah. If she does fall for me, I don't know what I would do. That would be pretty interesting. But even though we've seen each other for such a long time, I know a lot about her. I know her full name, this and that, but she's never really asked me like really personal details, even though she's been to my house, but I've which is sneaking her into my house. So that's another
risky.
Interesting.
Wow.
Very risky.
Do you have cameras at your house?
I do, but it's only set up with my phone. And no one, but I'm talking only on the outside, just so you can kind of see who's driving in, in and out. But it's only set up with my phone, so
because that Ring doorbell, that's giving away a lot of information that shouldn't be given out sometimes.
Well, my wife typically travels a couple times a month just to see family. She's from the neighboring state, so she's always driving and taking the kids out and that sort of thing. So that's kind of when I try to make sure I time it perfectly. So if she is coming over, we're trying to be as discreet as possible. In fact, what I do is we actually never drives to my house. I will meet her, maybe like in a little shopping mall or something like a mile away, and then I'll drive her over just because I don't want to see my neighbors like wondering whose car is this.
I know there's nosy neighbors. There's so many obstacles there, but apparently you can't have this conversation with your wife.
She would reject it.
Correct, yeah.
Entirely.
Yeah. And you got caught.
Yeah, so what happened was, and I thought I've been seeing escorts for so long, and I thought my game was on point, like I
got comfortable.
I always covered up my tracks. And in fact, I was, giving other folks like advice on what to do, what not to do. So I would have a separate bank account. Yeah, separate bank account. I had separate credit card. Like just little things like that. My app for my phone. I never was texting in front of my wife, etc.
Right.
But of course,
one thing
I did one day. I was just reconciling some bills and left a credit card statement that I printed. Of course, everything is, it's not coming to the house or anything, but I printed some bills just to kind of reconcile a few expenditures. And then of course I left it over. She started asking questions and added it together. And basically I was caught. So,
and then what happened?
It was a very, very tough day. Well, it was a very tough day. I mean, it took a while. This happened about maybe 3-4 months ago. And, kind of went through the motions, apologized and said I wouldn't do this again, et cetera. But I felt that, of course, because, at the end of the day, I do not want to hurt her. And it's just, I'm looking at this as this is just fulfilling a particular need. It's nothing to do with her. It doesn't take away the love I have for her, for my kids, et cetera. People don't share that mentality, right? A lot of people think of sex and love like, synonymously, right? So I think I tried to explain that. I think it might have been accepted a little bit better for her when I told her this was an arrangement. I think if it was someone that I was, cheating with a fellow coworker or something, I think that would have been a lot harder. In fact, I've had those opportunities, but I've never wanted to even go that route because I knew those situations can get messy. There's a lot of emotional attachment, but for me, I was like, I'm not looking for any emotions, right?
Yeah.
So I cooled off for a little bit. I told, my girl that, this is what happened. She understood, and, things started getting better at home. Yeah, I just, I connected with her again, and, we've been, not seeing each other as regularly now. Obviously I'm under the radar and under the microscope, so I'm just being a little bit more careful. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't want to get a divorce. I want to stay married with this girl, but
what do you think?
One thing that I'm not getting.
What do you think would happen if you sat down with her, your wife, and explained to her exactly what you're explaining to us? What would she do? Would she just get so upset she'd want a divorce?
Oh, absolutely. She would want a divorce right away. I mean, there's no question. I mean, I think she's pretty much said that to me.
So what if you brought up to her though, like, and I mean, we're not therapists, but That is, it's so common. I hear this a lot, right? Where it's the sex is stopped in the bedroom.
Well,
and I don't think the women.
It did for me. It's done it for him. It did it for my last guest. Everybody.
So, like a lot of the girls, the wives, they don't realize like how important it is for the men. But the men's never say, like from when the women talk to me, they're like, well, they never said anything. They just, had they said something, had they brought up, hey, listen, this is what I really need. Like I love you, I care about you, but I need this. Like I really want this.
Well, I've made that analogy of, or I didn't buy the house just for the bathroom, but you take that away, I'm going to be kind of upset about it.
Right. Yeah.
So
right.
I don't know.
You're in a tough spot. I really feel for you because fortunately my last guest, the sugar daddy, he was able to discuss with his wife, and they kind of have like a don't ask, don't tell situation now, but he said that it's made their marriage much stronger. He comes home happier. Right. He comes home not as stressed. So much
stress. Right. It's so much stress trying to hide your tracks like that.
Yeah, but sometimes you just can't. Like my ex-wife would.
True.
I could have. I'm in his boat. I would have never been able to have this conversation with her ever.
Yeah.
She would have been. Right. She would have flown off the handle and just. She probably would have beat me into.
But it's not. You're not
grave.
saying that you're going out and getting it from someone else. You're just saying, hey, listen, like put out more. I mean, essentially. I mean, come on. Like it's. I don't know, but
but still, after 20 years.
Right. Yes and no. I think also there's. I'm not going to kid myself. I do like the younger ladies, and
I get it. I'm there.
They're tight,
right?
Very tight.
So it's not
completely understand.
Yeah. You can't say it's everything.
Yeah, right. True. Yeah. That's why I said I can't. I don't want to be limited either. Is because somebody might be good at one thing and not so much at the other, and I don't want to teach them. I just want somebody to come in and do the job and then be done with it. Right? I don't want them to hang around.
So your profile's not active right now, is it?
No, it's not. It's not active at the moment. Only because I have one sugar baby right now that I'm seeing pretty much exclusively, and things are good. But things fizzle or if she moves on. I mean, I definitely will get back on. Of course, get a new credit card and make sure I cover my trucks again. Yeah. But I would pursue it again. Like if things. But I think with this girl, I mean. Things are great. I mean, just personalities. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And what kind of connection have you guys formed with this sugar baby? I mean, obviously, I like the site because you can be very honest with them and talk to them about your situation, and they can be very accepting of it.
But he also said earlier that he doesn't, she doesn't pry too much. Like, she really doesn't seem to pry.
Right. We really, we don't
right.
talk too much about my relationship or anything. I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty attentive to her, in the bedroom, and she's a talker, so that's perfect. So
it's always nice. You don't have to. You can just listen and be like, okay, I'll just shush you up with my.
Do you know any other? Do you have any other friends or guy friends, or I guess gal friends that are on the site? Also, do you know anybody?
No friends per se. I mean, I think I met girls through the site, but unfortunately, I've connected with a couple of them. But I remember when I did get caught, I wiped away pretty much like my phone. So unfortunately, I lost all my contacts during that time, except for her. But because initially I didn't really even know how she found out. So I was kind of panicking and just trying to clear as many things as I could.
How did she confront you?
Well, basically, I just came home from work one day, and it was pretty late, and she was up. She just wasn't saying anything. And
you knew something was wrong.
I knew something was wrong, and I really didn't know what to do at that point. And she doesn't know my history at all. I mean, as far as she knows, she thinks there's this one girl I was seeing, but she has no idea. I mean, I think she'd be completely devastated if she knew I was seeing other girls, my history with escorts and that sort of thing.
How did you explain it when she confronted you with it?
Yeah, I mean, I just essentially just told her, like, listen, it was meaningless, like, I've ended things with her, and, I just tried to make it sound more this was a sexual type of arrangement, which, I mean, a big part of it is.
Yeah.
And there was not an emotional connection, and I think that was helpful for her. I mean, if she knew I started again, I mean, I would be out the door for sure.
Did she make any attempt to make things better, or was she just kind of mad?
A little bit. I think we both. Well, I think it was a little. Honestly, it was a little bit of a relief getting caught because, there's some other things we need to work on in our marriage, and this kind of gave an opportunity for both of us to communicate better. And I think the marriage seems a little bit better, except for this one aspect, right? But I feel this is something that I will still continue to do, but it's kind of allows me to kind of get that out of my system and focus more on her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw an interesting thing happen with my parents. They were married for over 40-something years, and both have just passed away this last year. But what happened was probably about 15 or 20 years ago, my mother just wasn't getting the attention from my dad that she used to get, and he was all wrapped up in work, and it just really gone stale. And she met somebody, she was a photographer, and she met somebody in the same field, and they kind of had a little fling. She told me about it, which kind of freaked me out a little bit, but my dad found out.
Oh, wow.
And you know what happened? He started treating her better. He started treating her much better, paying much more attention to her.
Well, he was in love with her. I mean,
well, he realized, I think it was like a wake-up call that he just wasn't giving her the attention that she needed.
Yeah. And I feel
and if
like
she was going to find it somewhere else if she didn't get it.
Yeah, true.
So it was kind of weird.
I wonder if that would be the same for Thomas, though. Because, I mean, I feel like...
Well, that's why I was asking if anything changed.
Yeah, a little bit. I think things are a little bit different. I think, like our relationship has improved a little bit.
But not sexually.
But at the same... but at the same time, I don't know, and I don't, think I'm a monogamous type person. I don't know if I would be necessarily happy just...
I think I've determined that nobody really is. No males.
Right. So, at the same time, I have like friends that are, going to strip clubs or they're going out to different countries and seeing and it seems like this is like a type of thing that happens on a more regular basis, and people just don't really admit it, or it's behind closed doors. But it happens way more regularly than people admit. And I've gone to different countries, like bachelor parties, that sort of thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I guess rules don't apply.
Out the window. Different area code. It doesn't matter.
So I guess backing up a little bit, I'm just curious, because I went through this big learning curve when I first got on the site, and you being 8 months into this, did you have any situations with the first few that you were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, there definitely was some girls that were just straight escorts, and they would just immediately message me and tell me, like, this is my rate for this amount of time, and I would quickly, block those numbers or...
Yeah, because you were looking for something a little bit more emotional, because you had that already.
Yeah. Correct, yeah. And then there was a couple, there was like one girl in particular, which I thought was very interesting. We were chatting back and forth. We set up a meet and greet, and I was just trying to get some specifics, like where are we meeting? And I don't know, she had some sort of, like just some weird breakdown, and she texted me like, you know what, I can't do it. And that was it. I was like, okay. I was like on the way, but other than that, I mean, there's always like there's a lot of bots and scammers and that sort of thing. So you're trying to weed through those. But
I think when
honestly,
a girl does that,
the ones that I have connected with and at least got off the site, we would have pretty good communication. But I think that's attributed to my profile. I try to be as detailed as possible, try to be honest. I know some guys are married, they'll say they're not married, which doesn't make any sense to me, because eventually it's going to come out, right? So you got to weed out the people that really want to see you.
It sets the girls up for, this guy could really like me, right? And it's like, no.
Yeah, because there's so many girls that are looking for love.
But I think it's probably because I don't know, girls are, no, they're not. you're on a sugar dating site. You are not necessarily looking for.
You know how many girls I've met on there who are looking for a rich, wealthy, successful man to marry.
That is the criteria, though. That's the criteria. Like that is what they're looking for. I'm not sure that it's entirely love. Like, I don't think it's I don't know. I'm a little jaded.
The problem for Thomas is that he almost falls into that category. So that's why I was wondering if he had any, what kind of encounters he had in the beginning. But it sounds like you vet them pretty good before you take them offline.
Yeah, and I'm looking for a connection. So like the girls that I did take out, and we hooked up and connected. It was from the emotional standpoint, from a sexual experience standpoint, it just didn't really work out. And at least the girl I'm seeing now, it's like fantastic in the bedroom. I think we just have great sex, to be honest with you. I think she said some things that, she's never had someone so talented from an oral standpoint.
Hey, there you go, my friend.
That is the key to every girl's heart. You want them to come back oral.
And guys, I know that if you think you're talented there is a course that I recommend highly called OMG Yes.
Yes.
And it will teach you all the different ways to make a girl very happy in the bedroom.
Or if a girl gives you advice, do not turn that down. Just because every girl's different. Like, I've had guys, even my one guy, like he got so mad at me because I tried telling him what to do.
Really?
Yes. And
see, I welcome feedback.
Yeah, and he took it as an insult, and he was like, "Well, I think I know what I'm doing," and I was like, "Oh, come on! Like, let the ego go for 1 second, because I'm not. I don't like it like everyone else. I don't want you to freaking try to tear it out or whatever the hell that was." But
so, Thomas, I'm kind of in the same boat you are. I find a lot of pleasure of seeing her derive pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And to me, that's just as big a turn on as anything. Yeah.
Yeah, the same
way.
way.
I would say that's honestly one of my biggest turn-ons is, having the girl orgasm multiple times and, having her say, no one has ever made me, come,
right?
Yeah, making them forcing them.
Of course, that's going to make me want to keep it going, right? So
yeah.
And unfortunately, those words aren't coming out of the mouth of your spouse.
Well, no, I mean, she just, I don't know, like
but it's tough.
Been 20 years.
I know that is so tough.
Yeah,
to keep the spark going.
You never know. And she's got you guys have 4 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, she's probably under a lot of stress too.
Yeah,
and menopause, you got to think about that.
We were college sweethearts, and we got married. I'm in my late 40s, but we got married when I was mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. You eat the same lollipop every night. It's kind of, I don't know, but so what about vice versa for you? Like, so you definitely like to see the woman pleased. Now, have you experienced anything? One thing that I've experienced recently is girls aren't willing. They'll let the guys do stuff to them, but they don't want to do stuff to the guys. Have you experienced that at all? Like where they won't reciprocate? Or is that not as important?
You know what? That's a good question. I mean, I think, at least the girls that I've actually met off of the sugar sites, and it's interesting because when you go from an escort to a sugar girl, I mean, escorts are pretty much, there's like an open menu. They'll do this. In fact,
it's a different dynamic for sure. Yeah.
It costs that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I've never.
They'll literally advertise it. Like if you want anal, it's this. If you want, you know what I mean? So with the sugar relationship, I felt it's a little bit more of a, just kind of see what happens. And I would say, to be honest with you, like I would always take the lead, and I think things were good. Of course I like oral reciprocated to me as well, and I've always, that's always been something I've enjoyed, and it's gone well with the girls I've seen. And but like I mentioned earlier, the one thing I was really surprised about, and I don't know if it's just the demographic, if it's just like a Gen Z thing, it's just like half the girls didn't even care about using protection or not. And I don't know, maybe because they're assuming, hey, I'm married, I'm either monogamous or I'm not seeing anyone else, and they're taking a chance on that, right?
Right.
Versus when I was doing escorts, I mean, the girls always had.
Always.
I never had to buy protection or anything.
Yeah.
That was never like an issue.
So
I wouldn't want to, because that's another thing that I don't, want to get potentially caught.
So do you definitely prefer? Obviously, you prefer it with protection, right? I mean, nobody does.
Who prefers it with protection?
No, but I'm just saying because he is married. Like, honestly, you really don't know. The one thing I would say about like a PPM is what I'm finding is when I talk to these girls and they're talking to me and the guy steps away and I get to talk to them for a minute, they will openly admit like, oh yeah, like I have so many X, Y, and Z, right? I have so many guys. And I'm like, okay, so are you using protection with them? Or is this just like a special instance? Because I have to lecture these girls, or they're like he said, like that Gen Z or whatever. Like they're so naive and they think, oh, I'm gonna be fine, and it's like, no, la-di-da, you're not going to be fine. Like it's you got to be careful. Like be smart. I don't know if you're seeing 5 guys, use protection.
Right.
Like, I don't know, but you just don't know. You don't know when it's a PPM. I feel like because people, I don't know.
But if you're with the same partner for a while.
But he only sees her 2 times.
True.
2 times a month.
But at the same time, I don't know if she's seeing anyone else too. And
you haven't talked about that with her.
Well, they don't pry.
I haven't, which I really should. I probably should. But when I told her, listen, this is the situation. I got caught. I might not be able to see you regularly, and then she said, well, I totally get it. I might have to explore other options and that sort of thing. And I was like, I get it, but I said, listen, if you do end up seeing anyone else, let me know. And she said, yeah, of course, so there's a level of trust there, but who knows,
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was like for you, like me, but when I first got on the site, I felt like a kid in a candy store. When you were browsing all these profiles, what were your emotions? Mm-hmm. You're like, oh my God,
definitely.
This is exactly what I was looking for.
I was like, wow, and I was like, wow, these are like, there's so many hot girls. And then I realized, well, half of them are not real, but the ones that are.
You got to dig, yeah.
So, but, it's just, it's interesting because, like response rate, and I think just because these girls are getting inundated with so many messages and whatnot, it's just, crafting your message to them. And even with that, I think I would have a good strategy. I'm still only maybe hitting with, like 2 out of like 10.
I actually mentioned that in our last episode that if I message 10 girls, I'll be lucky to get 3 responses back, 3 or 4 maybe, if it's really good.
Right. And the other thing, I also don't have I think I mentioned it, I don't have my photos on there, but what I say in my profile is like, listen, because of my relationship status, I don't want to risk having my photos on here. However, I have no problem texting you a photo, that sort of thing. So I think that was another strategy. And, I think I'm a fairly good looking guy. So I think I never had any problems. Like once I would send a photo over via text message.
What I like about the site is I don't even have to be that good looking. I just, the girls are on there, you just got to be somewhat in the ballpark.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
You definitely, I wish that the guys would. I wish the guys, that's one thing I wish. I wish they would just tell me. Because like you said, Thomas, you said, well, I don't really say anything. I let them say. I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, you tell me, and if I'm within it, because I don't want to be.
You're talking about when you're talking arrangement terms?
Yes, yeah, because my biggest thing is I'm not good at that. I'm not good at negotiations. Yeah. I'm not good at being like, hey, this is my self-worth. Like I'm putting a number on myself, right? True. And it's very demoralizing. I just don't like it. So it's like, okay, listen.
It is,
a little bit.
I do. I get what you're saying, but I think also from the guy's perspective, and I don't know if this is just like a sales technique, you don't want to give a number first. You want to find out what they're looking for and then kind of go from there.
So I recently met with someone and they've been listening to my podcast, and early in the episodes, I kind of mentioned, well, of course, guys want a lower number and the girls always want a higher number, and you're trying to figure out something in between without offending each other. And so when we started talking about the arrangement, she goes, well, I know you want a low number, I'm like,
That's
damn.
hilarious.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You threw yourself.
I think I put a little too much out there.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Because we're on a budget, it gets expensive. By the time you take them to dinner, and if you're getting a hotel room and then you give them allowance, wow, it can get very, very expensive.
It can, yeah. I like allowances for sure.
The other thing I thought was interesting is most, I wasn't even sure if this was something that was even feasible for me, because I was, thinking, this is, allowances, or that's a regular arrangement. But all the girls I've encountered, they've actually all preferred PPM. And I mean, the reason I prefer it is I just think, from a realistic standpoint, schedule-wise, it just makes more sense from my end. And I think from the girl standpoint, they didn't want to be overextended, so they preferred PPM as well.
Well, a lot of times if you put them on like a weekly allowance, then you start expecting more from them and trying to get the most for your money, right? So I like PPM also. I know Amy prefers a weekly allowance, that way she doesn't feel like
a slut. I mean, honestly, it's not a slut.
Everybody
it's not a slut. I'm so
different.
sorry. Everyone is different. And I'm sorry about that. That came out. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I feel, but I don't know. I mean,
but I've made a mistake on putting people on a weekly allowance, and then I find out I'm too busy to even see them for a couple weeks. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm getting,
Okay, but see, okay, so for me, like with my weekly allowances, it's like, okay, you give me a weekly or a monthly allowance, right? It's up to you at that point. Like, you can see me as much as you want. I don't care. But I don't like seeing a lot.
That's just you.
Mine is like, I want to see maybe 2 people tops. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to see any more than 2 people. Right. I have needs as well. I'm very busy as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, if you want to see me more, like, you need to take that initiative. And I don't care. Like, I enjoy sex to the point where it's like, if we end up doing it once one week, that's fine. And then like 5 times the next, I'm fine with that. But I mean, at least I'm still getting off.
Really? I don't remember those days.
Right? Oh, yeah. I
bet
you don't.
Where were you?
Oh, shut up. Every single day. Every day. Every day. Every day for a long time.
Amy and I recently ended our arrangement, so we're kind of hashing out some old stuff here.
We're not hashing it out. No, it's funny. But no, it was every day for a long time. Mm-hmm. So, and I just enjoyed it. Like,
well, it's great. You guys are on good terms.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and that's the thing I found with the site. Like, sometimes arrangements run their course. It's not like where you get in a big fight and you're done. It's just usually either one, gets too busy, one finds a boyfriend. There's just a number of reasons.
It's just, sometimes it just
goes stale.
Fizzles out.
It just goes out. But
I mean, like
we can still be friends.
Yeah, for Marcus and I mean, we're like, he's my best friend. We were just talking about this. I was talking about it to someone, and I was like, I couldn't imagine my life here without him. Like, I can't. Like, I talk to him almost every day, if not every other day.
We're really open, and we actually talked about our adventures on the site, and that's why she's my co-host.
Yeah, and we're the co-hosts.
One of the co-hosts,
Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, Thomas, I really appreciate you coming on. We have just run out of time, but thanks for finding our show.
Yes, it was lovely talking to
Absolutely.
you. That was a really amazing
you guys
story.
are doing a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope we get to help people. I hope your story really will help people because...
Well, he's in a different situation than a lot of people, but then he's in the same situation as a lot of people.
And it just... So if you could give real quick, what is some really great advice that you would give someone before we...
Don't get caught by your wife.
No, I know that. But I mean, he learned. Like, he's obviously learned from his mistake.
Yeah.
So what would be the best advice that you could give?
Yeah, I mean... in the ideal world, if you could have the communication ahead of time with your wife and, try to kind of feel it out and see if that's a possibility. Right. If it's not a possibility, you just got to be careful. If you're on Seeking and you are married and your wife is not down with the idea, you got to just make sure you cover all your tracks and don't be careless.
The separate bank account, that's a first. I've not heard that one.
Oh, yeah. It's unfortunate, but I definitely understand. You have needs and no reason to live life without.
Right. You need to be happy. We only live on this planet for, it could happen any day, honestly. So live it up.
All right. With that, Thanks for listening to the show, guys, and find us on all the social media. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff. I've been posting some things lately, and we'd love for your follow. And then, like Thomas, please go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and tell us your story, and maybe we'll have you on the show real soon. Until next episode, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.